like there's no tomorrow.
Welcome to the Big King Podcast.
Take it easy. That's great. Yeah.
Hi everyone. I have Han with me here from Temporary Humans. Han, how are you?
Great. Thank you for inviting me here.
Dude, I've been chasing you for what? Like a year at least. At least a year.
Yeah, and I've been away for half a year, right?
That's true. How's it being back?
Yeah, it's great. I think it's also for most people. I didn't see my parents and family for 3 years, right?
I'm about 3 years. Yeah, same.
Yeah. So and I think the lockdown kind of made me like push over the edge to like just decide. Okay,
Not just you.
Exactly. A lot of people are actually so I just decided to go back and see my family. It was great seeing my family, my younger brother, check in the whole situation. And then I also visited my in-laws in Canada as well.
Great.
Yeah.
I think that's important. It taught me that family is more important than ever. Like, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It was also quite amazing to see the difference and how everything changed in Europe these days, right?
Interesting.
So, especially the way they are dealing with the COVID policies.
Yeah.
Of course, like every country has its own ways, and of course, the density of the people, the education is also really important because, for example, people who are like let's say in China, who are in the smaller cities or farmlands, which is probably like the bigger part of China, right? So
for sure,
it's a little bit different for them to handle like this situation compared to like people in the big cities. They're also better funded. For example, having these free COVID tests, it's really expensive, but you can only do it in the big cities. Yeah, like you won't see it like in I don't know, Luoyang or something, right?
Oh, even in Chongqing, when my friend and I went to Chongqing to go rock climbing, you have to pay for your own COVID test. Yeah. And Chongqing is not a small city; it's a really big city, and still it was like 10 kwai to like get your COVID test.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, just to get on a train, you were like, well, I need 2 of these, so it's 20 kwai per person, which isn't a lot, but just. You're kind of like, oh, in Shanghai, I get this for free.
Yeah.
And so you're always kind of like, oh.
Well, it stacks up, though.
Yeah, it stacks up, for sure.
Especially if you're doing 24 or 48.
Oh, jeez. So I actually brought you on because I wanted to know, one, why did you call the team Temporary Humans?
Okay.
And, what does it really stand for?
All right, so let's start actually from the very beginning, right? So, so back in the day, when I was younger, I used to love sports.
You still love sports?
I still did, but I forgot about that
Oh.
for a period of time that
too.
I loved sport.
Yeah.
So, I was doing a lot of football, boxing, and all that stuff. And at one point, especially when I came here, I didn't do it anymore. I was just focusing on my career, focusing on, and after like 5 years of working in a company, I did my own.
Yeah.
Like I ran my own agency. And it was tough in the beginning. So there, of course, like a lot of overtime, collecting resources, relationships, and all these kind of, you know the drill, right?
Yeah.
So, so after that, when it got stabilized a little bit more and I could delegate more work, so I was reflecting a bit. So, and I was also living a bit of an unhealthy life. So I was drinking regularly.
Yeah.
I still love to drink once in a while, but I don't do it as much anymore. But I was drinking a little bit too much that time, right? And like eating habits weren't great. Over time, of course, like that affects your body in general. So, so I thought, there's something missing in my life. Like, of course, like you have a family, it's amazing. You have a business that's running, all right, that's great. But then I looked back. I was always seeking for this thing because I always like to be active. So before doing this sport, I was really big into hiking, for example. I did, for example, Kilimanjaro. I did volcanoes in
Hawaii,
in East Java, Hawaii as well, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And so I was more leaning towards the active lifestyle, and I tried boxing for a while. When I was a little bit older, I was alright, 30 plus, I think 33, and it just didn't work out. I felt like not compared compared to when I was in the 20s, I felt like, oh man, it's like coming home with bruises and like hard to sleep after you have a bruised rib and all these kind of things. Felt like, oh, this is not sustainable. And after a while, I just saw this advertisement about Spartan race, like the Spartan race, and it was the in 2019, it was the APAC championships.
Okay.
So it definitely caught my eye, and I saw that online by other guys like posting about it before, and I was never really into. I was kind of competitive, but at that time I was not anymore. When I was young, I was very competitive, but at that time I was like, oh, maybe Tough Mudder would be better.
Yeah.
So before that, I also signed up for Tough Mudder, but it got canceled twice.
Right, I remember.
So, and I never thought like about doing Spartan race because it was kind of a race.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know if I want to do a race. Like maybe a challenge you can do it with friends and all these kind of things. And actually, if I think about it, most people actually think like that, right?
I would say all of my friends that actually do Spartan, they just see it as like an event. Like they don't take it very seriously. It's not for time. They just want to go and like experience
for the experience. Exactly. So that's also what I thought, right? So and eventually I signed up and I did some research. I looked up like what's the average time for 21 kilometers. I thought like let's go big, like let's not do 5 kilometers if we're going all the way to Chongli.
Yeah.
So sign up for 21 kilometers and I got a group together. Some of them were a lot fitter than I was. I just started. I could maybe do like, and the way we regulated our fitness level in the beginning was, we did the 5-minute burpee test.
Okay.
And if you were able to do like around 60, you're kind of healthy.
Yeah.
And above 75, you're actually decent fit. Above 85, you're actually quite fit, and then let's say Spartan fit.
Yeah.
And then above that, like of course, like
you're great.
You had like all these different levels and names, just like a game. Was hilarious.
Sure.
But I was actually pretty on the low end at that time, and a lot of guys could do way more than I did.
Yeah.
So
do you remember your score?
Yeah, I started with like 65, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of the guys were able to do like around like 80.
Yeah, that's
like,
a lot.
Whoa, man! Like I looked up to a lot of the guys as well. Like they were doing regular Fit Fam and all these kind of things, right? So, but then again, I did the research about like how to train for a Spartan race, and so like some people would finish like 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. I'm like, whoa! But that time I did not know those were like people in the open team, and they were like half walking it.
Yeah.
I was planning to actually race it.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of signing up for age group, but then a few friends who were a little bit fitter, they said like, let's do elite. Just go bold. Just go big and go bold, right?
Yeah.
Go bold and go big. Or what was it? Go big or go home, right?
Yeah, go big or go home. Right.
And it's like, oh, man, like, okay, let's just do it. So, and I got, of course, super nervous. Like, oh man, the elites, how are we gonna do that? So I looked up elite Spartans online, and they are insane, like on a world level. And I saw how they trained and the things they did and their running paces. Like, man, how I cannot do that.
Yeah.
But then again, I still analyzed all the different parts of like what you need. Like for example, you need core strength, you need grip strength,
sure.
You need leg strength and running abilities. So all of this, I put together a workout.
Mm-hmm.
And we did like every Saturday we would work out, like, and it started like from 1 hour to 2 hour workouts, 3 hours.
Yeah.
And after, even sometimes went to 5 hour workouts because we were just like,
wow.
And it was fun. Like, and we would even do it in 37 degrees, like outside where it's like turf and you're doing bear crawls on turf. And then at the end of the day, like your hands like full
burning.
Of blisters, burning. Right? But yeah, it was a great journey. And when we finished, and when we went into the Spartan race, a lot of them, because we did prepare for 3 months, and a lot of them all of us actually felt really well prepared.
Right.
And even though and we all kind of exceeded our expectations.
That's
so
great.
I ended up like 16th place. I was like,
it's amazing.
How is that even possible? I think there were like about like 100 people. And like a lot of the other guys were like, some of them in their age group first, some of them like top 10. I was like, whoa, that's amazing. And then
That's
we
awesome.
decided, and we got in love with it, you
Yeah.
know, like, because it kind of involves everything, because it's not just running. I never really liked running. I was always thinking like, oh, why would you do that, right? Like, why would you just stare in the abyss or something, you know, like just move forward. But then after when I tried to start running, I got better and better. It became easier and it became more relaxing. So when people just start running, I can understand it's really uncomfortable. They don't know how to breathe or how to move, like, because it's very technical as well. But after, when you get the drill and you know how to move, it's almost meditational.
Oh, I agree. I don't know if you know, I grew up as a swimmer.
Oh, really?
And so I get when people say running and all of the and how technical running is. I get it because I was a swimmer. I was like, swimming's super technical. If you don't understand how to move through the water,
you need to feel the water.
Yeah, you're lost. Like, you can go one lap and be like really tired, or you can just, you know.
Oh, that's me right now, by the way. I'm actually planning to do like one time a triathlon.
Okay.
I'm pretty decent with running and biking. But my swimming sucks. Can I say that, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like you said, I use probably like double the effort.
Yeah.
To get
half the way.
Yeah, to get to a certain distance, and other people, like, they just put half the effort, and they're maybe even faster.
But the swimming leg's the shortest one, so it's I've always been told that the swimming leg is the least important, because even if you're a very good swimmer, you don't get enough time off of that leg, and you should really be a better runner or a better biker. I don't remember, but they always tell me that the swimming leg is the least important, which I don't know. I haven't studied triathlons, but
neither.
To me, I was just
I would think actually otherwise, because well, with biking you can actually gain a lot of time.
Right. That's how I feel. Like, the biking is super fast.
Yeah.
And if you're great at biking, like, that's a long leg. You know.
Although when I look at the top triathletes, they're actually amazing swimmers.
They have to be.
Yeah.
Right.
So eventually, you cannot lack any of them. Like,
right.
You have to be well-rounded, and that's also what I love about sparring races. It's just not because you're just like a marathon runner. If you're like a runner, pure runner marathon, like, even though you do like 2:30 marathon pace, I mean like 2:30 marathon time, you still might not be able to win a sparring race.
Right. Because there's so many other skills involved.
Exactly. Yeah. So you need some strength, but you cannot have too much strength, like CrossFit, because it will slow you down, and often they might not have a certain endurance. Right. And then at the same time, you also have to have a lot of flexibility, mobility, to jump over walls more efficiently, to save energy, all these kind of different things. And some people are good at things like at running and strength separately, but when you combine that, then it gets really hard.
Yeah, because it's a different system. I get
it. Exactly. So that's actually what makes made me love the sport a lot more, because it's very functional.
Yeah. Same. I'm with you.
And we decided to move on with this.
Because in the beginning, it was only a couple of you, right? It was how many?
We were like about 10 people, I think. Yeah. It started actually with 2. And then me and Tony, I'm not sure. Yeah. So, and then we were just randomly talking to some friends, like, oh, we're going to prepare for this sparring race. Are you interested? And
so how'd you guys build a brand out of this? That's what I want to know.
So that's the funny thing. So we decided to keep on going with the workouts and train for the next race.
Right.
We were never thinking of creating a community or adding more people. We were just a group of friends who love the sport, and we just want to do some races and have some weekend fun. That's it.
Yeah.
And but then we started to get, like, people started to talk about us, like, oh, those guys who work out for 3 to 4 or 5 hours. They're like they're crazy, and like in the hot sun, whatever, right? And then, like, it was always those guys and stuff. And then I thought, like, all those other fitness crews or like gyms, they all have names, and we are like
just this random group.
Yeah, these random groups of like fanatics.
Right.
So it took a few months for me to think like, oh, let's just go for a name. But then, because we're not really, it was not really. How do we say that? Like, I was not thinking of like creating a like a fitness crew. It was just a group of friends. And just working out. Like, I didn't want to make it official.
Those are the best things though, right? Like, I think the best groups are ones that you don't do on purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, because if it's too on purpose, there's too much money involved. There's too much like, oh, how much should we charge? Like, it should never start like that. It should always start as pure as possible. Just be like, we like this. Let's just do this. And then slowly, but I worry that as things get bigger, they get worse because money gets involved. And then you're like, well, then like the money is almost destroying what I liked about the group to begin with. And that's what always worries me. Like, when small gyms, especially jiu-jitsu gyms, start off small, it's just a group of guys that want to train. So they find like a little hole in the wall that they can like put down some mats and they train. It's mostly free. People are like, oh, as long as we can make rent, we're good. And then as it grows, they're like, well, you know, we should get better bathrooms. Okay, well, then we need to get better this. And as it grows, people are like, man, we got to start charging people. And then everyone's just like, why are we, like, this was all free. We were all just doing this for fun. And as it gets bigger, I always worry that it ruins the brand. So how are you trying to keep that, you know, as far away as possible?
So yeah, we decided to make it official afterwards,
of
right?
Course.
So going back to that, and then I will lead to your question, and to answer your first question. So I decided on temporary humans. I was brainstorming with my wife actually about it.
Cool.
And then I thought, like, I saw words with humans, like, it just sounds cool. Like, sometimes just for the sake of it, it just sounds cool, like humans, and we're all humans and all these kind of things. And then, like, I don't know, do I make a combination with it, or do I think it has a whole list of names, like random stuff? But then I just popped out temporary, like, I don't know, like it. And then I thought, oh, it's a really long word though, but it kind of flows all right. It's like kind of catchy, and it's kind of quirky, and that's what I like. It's like weird, quirky, and that's why it might stick. But it's a little bit long though. So I did a poll in the group, and then people didn't really care much about it, and I was like, man, okay, I'll
roll with it.
So I'll roll with it, right? So eventually, like, a lot of people start liking it as well, temporary humans. And then actually the backstory is so temporary. Why temporary? Because you're always in a temporary state. So for example, the now, the yesterday, and then tomorrow of yourself is different. On a cellular level, on a mental level, and especially, and also on a fitness level, right? So, and it also like focuses on constant growth, not necessarily growth, but constant fluctuation of your fitness level, but also,
I like that.
Of course, you want to go towards growth,
right? There's a trend towards growth.
Exactly. Right. So you're a temporary state, and you're starting to like progress yourself. And so that's actually, and then that's actually the backstory behind it. That's pretty much it. And then the joke behind it's like temporary humans, temporary beasts. Like, that's more the joke.
I like that. Because that's kind of what I figured too. Like, every once in a while you're human, but most of the times you're just getting at it. Like, I get that feeling. Because every time you get into the gym, it's a different mindset, right? When you're at work, you're peaceful, you're trying to be like nice to people, but once you get in the gym, you're just like, all right, none of this bullshit, like, we're gonna get at it. And I like that about you guys especially. But like, again, do you worry that like you guys are there and you guys are hardcore? And I think when you lower the level, right, for the more mass do you feel like it dilutes the brand? Do you feel like it changes what you guys are all about in the beginning?
That's actually a really good question, because in the beginning we were never really thinking of, let's have a lot of people joining our workouts. We're just focusing on improving ourselves. Like, we want to become better athletes, and that takes a lot of time actually, and research and nurturing and inspiring each other in this small group. But then after a lot of people start seeing what we were doing these obstacles, and then at that time there were also a lot of races still going on. So people were asking us, can we join your training?
Right.
I don't know how to train, how to prepare for it. And that actually was the same issue when I just started.
Bingo.
So, and then after a certain amount of time think about it, I think like, actually it's a good idea actually to open up to these people who want to be involved. But then of course we would separate like let's say the athletes into the more like the casual hobbyists or weekend warriors, and which like the people who want to do it for fun, for experience. And at the same time, because we are so passionate about obstacle sports, it's a great way to actually spread the word about it, educate people about
100% agree.
And in China especially, like if you look at Europe or North America, there are a lot of obstacle sports brands and different kind of races. You have Savage Race, you have you have Vikings, etc., etc., and a lot of other small brands that maybe does one event a year. That I don't even know of. So there are lots of them. Of course, Spartan is the biggest, but in China there's mainly only Spartan, right? So that's why a lot of people associate Spartan as obstacle course racing.
Right.
But actually, this obstacle course racing is the sport, right? So so when races get canceled, eventually, like people tend to not like want to. Oh, I'm actually going away from my point. Actually,
it's okay.
What was my point again?
Let's just keep rolling.
Yeah. So
if you have all of these hobbyists now come in, do you feel like it dilutes the brand? Is where I was trying to get you to
go. I actually don't think so. Because it's with like a brand. Of course, like your core needs to still exist, and I think that's the passion for obstacle course sports.
Okay.
Right. And if more people are interested, it's just another branch. I feel it's not maybe it's like ameliorates actually what we want. Actually ameliorates our passion, because we can share with more people. And I think initially we just didn't realize it. And after we realized it, and actually that's actually what we actually really enjoy these days. When we're doing classes and we see people getting better or overcome their fear, that's an amazing thing to see. Right? So, and eventually I'm like, these days, I'm actually really focusing on nurturing like people who want to become better as athletes, especially. So of course, like people who want to just do it for fun, of course, you will get them to overcome their own mental obstacles and like technically on the course, etc. But people who want to become athletes or want to become better, like maybe want to like get like faster or better at obstacles and join age group. I love nurturing these guys or girls, right? And especially lately, I've been focusing more on the female participants, because females, like the female category is often less competitive. So I want to bump that up. At the same time, nurturing the younger crowd, so kids. I'm actually starting to train my daughter a little bit. But kids, because they're the future, and I would love... Actually, when I was young, would have been great if there was like obstacle course, obstacles sports, right? But it's something I think I want to do and nurture the future of obstacles sports, because it's still kind of new to a certain way, and there's just not enough education about it. Too many people think about it's obstacle course racing is just like the monkey bars and those kind of. Actually, most of the work is functional fitness.
Right.
Most of the work is doing your grip work, your running, and if you want, you can mix it up with other endurance stuff like such as swimming, biking, etc. Right. So that's pretty much 80% of the work. 20% is the fancy stuff when you fly through the monkey bars and all these kind of things. Right. So
But to be fair, that's the stuff that gets clicks. Like if you put that stuff on like a Xiaohongshu or a YouTube, people are like, "Whoa, that was awesome!"
Yeah.
Right, and that's what gets the exposure. So then people come in, but then you worry like, "Oh, can they?" If they came in because of the monkey bars, and then most of the workouts are like grindy and hard, they're like, "Is it worth it?" You know, because
it is
it's
tricky.
It
is tricky because a lot of people who don't really have a good fitness foundation, they immediately want to go through those obstacles.
Yeah.
And of course, like, so that's why in our classes we do like a combination of for example, OCR Metcon. So you can try a little bit of the obstacles, but not too much.
Right.
And then we do actually a full like strength, fundamental strength workout for it. And if they come often enough, they will have the fundamental strength to go through it.
Right.
So often I also ask, like, what do you usually do? Like they sometimes mention, oh, I do F45, I do like FitFam and all these kind of things, or I train at home. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So then you have a good idea of what they can, because it's also very injury prone if you don't do it properly.
That's exactly where I was headed. Like there are two things that I think stop you guys or are obstacles for you guys.
Yeah.
One, I think Shanghai, because we're such a competitive city, people are very competitive.
Yeah.
And you look at the CrossFit group and they're always like, it's just injury after injury.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just like, why are you so competitive? But everyone in Shanghai that comes to this city is kind of competitive.
Yeah.
That's why they're here. And two, so like, how do you deal with all these injuries? Because you have to, especially an obstacle, I think you have to be safe. And because if you're injured, you're out for, let's say, 2 months, you're all the way back to like basically zero at some point. And two, like there's such churn in Shanghai, like especially recently. Like, how do you keep these members with you and always, and just like, I don't know, in the group?
Yeah, so
address the first one first.
So that's
the injury one's tough.
Yeah, the injuries. So what we are so as a athlete myself, preventing is
Key.
More important than like recovery, right?
Yeah.
So important is to just be patient and work on the base first. So a lot of people who want to try it, I only let them try the less injury prone ones, like for example monkey bars.
Yeah.
Because that's more like something like more of a natural movement. Like when we were kids, we were doing that.
Yeah.
But things such as rings, which is a little bit more technical, or like twister. I don't know if you know the terms.
I do.
Okay, you do. Like, that's great. I hope the listeners do as well.
Yeah.
But so the twister is basically a rig that rotates all the time. So you need a lot of like upper body strength, and it's tricky because people don't know how to move their body, and then you can get injured, right? So there's also a lot of technique involved. And in order to exercise that technique, you need a lot of fundamental strength.
Right.
So we focus mainly like on building that strength first, and mimic certain movements. So for example, when people go into obstacles, people think you need a lot of grip strength, but that's not the only thing. You also need a lot of core strength, because with this core, you are able to move your body as you want to go to the next part. Then you're using your grip. Right. So all these different kind of things we're trying to focus on first,
and then put them all together.
Exactly. So it's mainly a lot of education. It's mainly a lot of telling other people to be patient, and also directing them, like of course based on their own fitness level. If someone has like some experience, they can go into it, but it really depends. Like we do, like, because our classes are also not like, they're like 20-30 people, right? It's hard to control. So, and it's like usually smaller groups, so it's easier to get to know each person, right? And then you can tweak a little bit. So we always will have like alternative movements, which is easier for
them. I love
them.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So so that's really important. So some people, even if it's a beginner's class, there are still different segments of fitness levels. So it's really important to have those alternative movements and even like alternative obstacles for them to do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. So for example, things such as the Z wall.
What's the Z wall?
So it's basically a wall, and you have like different blocks on the bottom and on top.
Oh,
and
so
you
it's like rock climbing.
Yes, but then you're using your
climbing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's a lot easier, of course. Okay. And but you're still using your grip.
Yeah.
You're using you have to control your body properly and stay close to the wall.
Right.
And it's also a lot, and it's it's also like gamified, right? It's like all these obstacles are gamified. So so we often opt for them to do that first and see how they fare.
Right.
Because sometimes if they cannot grip something like those blocks with their fingers, that means like on the obstacles itself is going to be even harder.
Right.
Right. So, and then another thing is to test their grip strength, doing dead hangs, doing active hangs, those kind of things. And then you can see, okay, if they cannot hang with both hands for like 3 seconds, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Right. So, but if they can hang for a minute,
they're probably doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there are different tests that you can do to see people fitness levels, like for that particular movement. So yeah, that's how we're trying to gauge, and it needs to be tailored a little bit more. And and if it's like a mass workout, we usually make it more generic.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, you have to worry about injury.
You have to. Yeah. You have to. And as someone like who's been through like several injuries, because especially when you're like an athlete trying to aim for like those limits.
Yeah.
Like it's the line is super fine. Like it's like you have to stick within this line, and if you just go over it, then it's easy to get injured.
Right.
Yeah.
I worry about that too. Especially, I don't know how old you are. I'm 37 this year, and I feel.
Are you already 37?
Yeah, I'm 37. I'm 1985.
Okay. Yeah, we're the same age.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And I feel so much older this year than I did when I was maybe 34, 35. Like, I was doing okay, 34, 35.
In what way?
I think I need to warm up a lot more, one. I just can't keep up with the young kids. Like, we went climbing last night. We climbed at 1778 1778. It's one of the bouldering gyms, pretty new. And they can climb for 4 hours. They're just nonstop, on the wall, off the wall. And I need like way more breaks than they do. It's just, I just can't keep up.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, like physically, there is like a huge difference from like when we were younger, especially when we were in the 20s.
Oh, 20s, no, not even a question.
Yeah, exactly. So that definitely is there, but how I see it is you can make up the difference with the way you condition yourself.
Sure.
So of course, you have to have some more warm-ups.
Yeah.
And longer warm-ups than the young guys. Like I still remember I have a few like elite athletes that I sometimes run with.
Yeah.
And they just go straight into like a fast pace.
Yep.
I'm like, dude, like I need to warm up, man. Like I can't do that pace after like 10 minutes, but let's warm up. I don't want to get injured.
Yeah.
So that's actually what I have in mind all the time. Just trying to be careful, because at this age, I want to make the most of it. So each month, each week is important to me to like level up my fitness. And if I get like a setback, it's harder for me than someone who's like a lot younger.
Exactly.
And yeah, they will still have like another 10 years or 15 years to build, right? So I don't know how long I will be able to race at this level. Like I know 3 years, 5 years if I'm lucky, right? So we'll see. But yeah, the way you condition yourself is really important. You got to work a lot smarter. So that comes with experience.
I agree.
And that's why I love doing research as well. Like I'm looking into the loopholes. Well, I don't want to call them loopholes. Yeah. But it's more like because
I think it's just smart training.
Yeah, it's training smarter, being more preventative of injuries, but also knowing what kind of workouts need to do and cutting certain workouts. So I'm very targeted with my workouts. So for example, if there are certain movements that I don't need to do, I'm not gonna do that. Like for example, I'm not able to do like deadlifting like 200 kg or something.
No way.
I don't need to.
Yeah.
Right. It would be fun if I could do that, but it's useless to me. Like I'm very targeted. I do that lifting, for example, mainly for like injury prevention, strengthening my legs, and all these kind of things. So,
but you don't need to max out on your deadlift.
Exactly. So, and
I'm
also doing different kind of like, of course, like it also really depends on your mindset and your lifestyle. So, it's always fun to try out new things. I love trying out new things. But then, if you're constantly trying out new things, like I'm gonna do like I do like let's say you're doing a lot of yoga sessions, and then you're doing a lot of like bar sessions or those kind of, and in the end, like it's too divided. You're not really focused. So what I'm trying to do is like I'm focused on movements that will improve what I'm lacking right now. So I see like, my speed is lacking. So I need to work on these and these movements to strengthen my legs. And I need to do probably more tempo runs and track workouts to increase my speed. I need to do like more long distance to increase my endurance, etc., right? But I won't do like, let's say, I don't want to say wasted efforts, but because it doesn't sound that great, but it's more like I'm watching my time. I'm trying to be efficient. And that's also with obstacle training the obstacles. I actually don't do obstacle training as much. I'm focused on the fundamentals, and once I have that, I know I can fly through those obstacles because the technique I already got. And then after, it's just like refining it, going through it faster, etc., right? So yeah, it's the way you condition yourself, and then at the end you also have to work a little bit harder than the young kids.
I agree. I have a different mindset than you. I think it's because I don't compete. Because I don't compete, I don't worry so much about I guess it is not a great term, but wasted effort. Like I enjoy jiu-jitsu, I enjoy boxing, but every once in a while I'll go do like something completely out of my wheelhouse and just be like, oh, let's give Zumba a try. And I'll just be like, why not? Like, what's the worst that can happen, right? And I enjoy trying weird things because to me, I almost think that kind of cross training actually is beneficial to me. I remember all of my swimming friends. A lot of them have fucked up shoulders. A lot of them have fucked up ankles. And it's because you're doing a repeated motion over and over for 12 plus years.
That's right.
Right? So you're going to get injured. But I think that if we had been cross-training other sports, you probably would have...
Cross-training is really important.
Super important. But I like that obstacle is kind of cross-training. You're doing a lot of different movements. There are pull movements. There are push movements. It's enough that you're kind of doing its own version of like cross-training to me.
Yeah, exactly. So if I would actually... lay out like the different kind of workouts I do, it would be like a lot of mobility workouts, mobility and stability. That's like a workout on its own. And then of course like yoga as well, like for flexibility.
I hate yoga.
Oh,
it's my least favorite thing in the world.
It's I wouldn't say I love it, but
but you gotta do it.
But I don't hate it either, actually. And then you of course like general strength training, so it's actually just lifting heavy. And then you have functional fitness, such as Metcons, EMOMs, and all these kind of things. And then you have obstacle training, running, trail running, road running, trail running. And then that you also you can divide in hill running and flat running. And then biking as well. So that's amazing. And then for recovering, swimming. But some races you have to swim, so I sometimes do like also a little bit more like I train for swimming as well. So these are the few things I can think of on top of my mind.
And you do that every week. You do like some version of that.
Yes. So biking and running, I do most of it because speed is the hardest thing to progress over a short amount of time.
Okay.
Like your endurance, your speed.
Yeah.
So running fast, it takes years usually,
I
right?
agree.
So, and of course you can do it like within a year, but you're gonna get injured.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna grow like this, you're gonna spike up. Yeah, you might get a lot faster, but you definitely will feel it as well, right? So so that's why it's really important to cross train, so you will have lower impact.
Right.
Also, running on trails will help a lot as well. Softer grounds. Running on the track slowly, right? Doing more. So I train it very polarized. So which means the 80-20. So basically 80% I'm doing more aerobic effort, 20% I'm doing hard effort.
I do the same thing for swimming.
Yeah. So yeah, it's great, and it also it's more beneficial for your endurance, right? And then and the rest of metcons, full body workouts, and at least I do like every week, and strength training at least also one time a week. And the flexibility, mobility, depends. Like I just throw it in sometimes. Like it depends. Like if I feel like I need to add it in, but I do add it in regularly because like in the end, like it takes too much time, right?
Yeah.
And of course, like so these workouts also are not always the same. Not every week it's the same. For example, I look at for example, like let's look into like 4 weeks. So the first week, maybe you run like 50 kilometers. The next week, it's going to be 70. And then the week afterward, it's like the peak. Maybe you're doing 90, 100.
Yeah.
And then you drop down, like for example, to 30.
Taper.
So you have a recovery week.
Yeah.
So, and then you start over again. And then it changes also a little bit depending on how much you run. So sometimes you feel like a little bit like maybe your ankles are uncomfortable. Then you do a little bit more of running. I mean biking. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Biking or swimming, right? So and then also depends on the races or what you're going for. So if you're doing like you want to do a 5K time trial, then you will do shorter distance.
Right.
If you want to do longer distance, then you train again differently. So it's like constant tweaking, and this is like kind of the process that I also love. It's constant tweaking, constant learning. And then all these experiences I try also to share within
the team.
Within the team,
Right.
And eventually also to the people who also love to be involved in this kind of process.
So what do you think? Why do you think that TH got so big? That's because FitFam's always been around, right?
Yeah.
F45, it's kind of its own little group, but you guys got really big, really fast. You know, and that was always shocking to me. And then you guys not only got big real fast. It was the entire industry was like, those are like kind of the cool kids. Like to me, that was always super interesting because it came out of nowhere for me. Like it came from not knowing who you guys are at all to like all of a sudden, everyone knows TH. And then there was merch within like a week. And I was like, whoa, what happened? People were buying t-shirts. I was seeing your like hats. And I was like, when did this come from? Came out of nowhere. It was wild.
Yeah,
I'm impressed. Don't get me wrong.
It's
I
quite
was super
funny,
impressed.
Indeed. Well, so when we were working out at the HML gym, right? And so the owner looked at us like, whoa, what you're doing is super cool.
Yeah.
And we have this space here. Like, what do you think we can do? Like, it was in a rooftop.
Rooftop, yeah.
Like, just eyes were hanging their clothes. I'm like, whoa, like it's 200 square meters. You're not using this?
Yeah.
Said, yeah, we can actually use this. So I was quite excited. And I was just thinking, they can maybe build something and we can just train ourselves. We were only thinking about like
a couple of you guys.
Like, just us. But then after like 8 months, they still didn't build anything. And I was like, oh, what's going on? Of course, like they probably got busy or like something else was going on, right? Or maybe they just didn't have the resources. So like one of our friends who that time recently joined was a mechanical engineer. And he was able to do create like these blueprints for like those small hanging obstacles. And I was like, would you be able to do a rig? He's like, yeah, can try it actually. And so eventually we got like he created the blueprint of the first drawings. It's like, okay, let's move this and this. I want this and this here.
Of course.
Yeah, and then we actually made like actually it's called a multi-rig then, and the actual multi-rig. You have monkey bars, twister rings, and on the side you have Tyrolean, traverse, and all these kind of things. And I want a wall on the side because those things like look a little bit ugly. Maybe we can do some painting there. And eventually we did a rendering and proposed it to the gym, and they loved it.
Yeah.
So we got funding from them, and eventually we actually even built it ourselves.
I remember I saw a whole bunch of people start going in with the mats, with all of like.
Oh yeah, we even had our own helmets. Yeah. That was hilarious. Yeah, that's the thing. Like eventually when we're doing things, we also everything we do regarding TH, we want to make it fun.
Yeah.
So even if it's like building something, it shouldn't be something that's like seen as work, right? Even when we're coaching, it's like almost hanging out with friends or new friends, right? So I try to get to know everyone as well, and if it clicks, that's great. And then like maybe we can do some runs together afterwards. So it's not gonna be like pure coach student kind of relationship, and next time when you're gone, it's all good. They can message me if they want to have some tips and stuff. So it's so that's the kind of vibe we like to do.
Yeah.
And so when we had the gym, we realized that okay, it's not gonna be for free.
Yeah, it can't be for free.
It's not gonna be like we won't. So we realized that we actually have to do some work then, right? Yeah. Now, of course, like we have a team of quite talented people. Like everyone is like quite good in their own industry. Some people have like a good, like they were in events before, or they are having a good marketing background in a Fortune 500 company or a salesperson. And me myself come from the creative industry, so we just combine our powers and see like how can we delegate. And at that time, we also had about 20 plus people. So, of course, you want to see like who's going to be seriously involved, because it's going to be not a full-time, like almost full-time, but part-time
at least
kind of
part-time,
thing.
yeah.
So, eventually we selected, not just selected, but people stood out and said like, oh, I want to be involved. I love it. I'm passionate about it. And I want to do more. I think there's like a lot of like growth for this. So we got a small team of 5-6 people together, who's actually managing everything of TH. And then you have the core members who are actually helping out on a more volunteer basis, and also helping with the marketing once in a while. And and that's how it's and that's how we went moving forward. So
you guys threw a big party, like you guys threw a huge party.
So the thing is, I come from, before I had the creative agency. I come from an event management company.
Okay.
Another good friend of mine as well. So like we understood how important branding is, how important marketing or event management is.
Yeah.
And creative is my strongest point. So that's why when this gym came out, I was only thinking about how to brand this. Designing logo, how is the mini apps gonna look like? What kind of poster? What's the vibe? What are the co-partners we're gonna associate with? So and that actually was really important to, let's say, as you say, like the popularity of the brand. So I didn't want to have the typical clean, minimalist kind of style. I thought like let's make it a little bit quirky. Let's do photo shoot. Let's invest some money in it and just do a photo shoot. And the photo shoot was a lot of fun as well. And not just have like, like most of the gyms when you see the coaches like. Right.
I hate that.
Not being against it, so it looks professional and everything, right? But some people, it's not my thing. Let's say I like to show more personality in it. So I said, like so I was also doing the direction of the shoots. I said, okay, show your personality, and just if you're silly, just be silly.
Right.
If you want to show your guns, show your guns.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, right? So you saw like probably in the mini app, like we have all these kind of different pictures just to make it more fun, and and that also kind of like ameliorates like the overall brand, the team, and it gets more accessible. Of course, sometimes people might think it's like, well, nah, let's not go too deep in it. But anyways, like it makes it more accessible, makes it more fun, right?
Yeah.
And the branding, of course, is really important. Having good promotional video is really important. So that was the focus of that. And then at the same time, as a brand, you also want to share this brand with others, and that's in a way of merchandise.
Yeah.
So during that photo shoot, we already had like plans of creating, like we also did the merchandise shoot and everything, and when we opened up, everything was ready.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
remember.
so you had the app, you had the merchandise, you had the
event.
brand, and then it kicked off with a huge opening party.
Yep.
And that's how everything got kick-started. Of course, like before, people were already asking about it when we didn't even build the obstacle gym, because people were trying to go to our classes in the beginning, like when we just had like just random rigs hanging on a monkey bar.
Yeah.
And of course, like we hyped it up a little bit, and there was a lot of anticipation for that as well. So I think all of this together kind of kick-started everything and made, like as you said, like a little bit more popular.
Yeah. You guys are awesome. You guys still, I mean, after COVID, no one's doing great, but you guys seem to be doing okay, right?
Yeah, it's I think it's also mainly and the difference with us is we have a pretty good collaboration with the HML team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great partner, and cost wise, we're also not as, let's say, heavy as many gyms. So I can understand a lot of gyms have been suffering and struggling a lot, and I really feel for them, because a lot of gyms, I love a lot of those gyms, and I still have to visit a lot of them actually if I think about it. But yeah, it's but then we have been a little bit more flexible with that, so we can still pursue our passion more, focusing on like just like expanding obstacle course racing in the community in Shanghai and eventually in China, actually, which we already have done, because we're actually quite close partners also with Spartan. We regularly work with them. We have some SGX coaches in our team, and I'm also quite close with the management. So we talk about like a lot about like the future prospects and plans. And eventually, of course, like also if you look at, I think Joe DeSena, he's like the founder of Spartan, right? He also wants to have Spartan to become part of the Olympics, right?
Jeez.
Like that would be huge.
Yeah,
once that happens, like, well, it kind of already happened, but to me it doesn't really count. It's like part of the pentathlon.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah, it's something, right?
It's something.
But if you look at obstacle course sports, it's basically similar to running. So you have short distance, you have 100 meters, you have 400 meters, you have a few Ks, like to 5Ks, and then 10, 21, and ultras.
Yeah. Ultras.
And then above that, you also have 3-day adventure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so it's very very broad, and the thing is with Spartan is it's a brand, it's a business, so it's gonna be hard for them to become a like according to their standards and their rules to be like to become part of the Olympics. But on the World Obstacle, which we also worked with, they're actually the international what is it called, like sports foundation for obstacle sport racing. So so they're actually trying to push for it. They're because they're a non-profit.
Right.
So they're trying to host like all worldwide events, ninja events. So ninja is also part of it, right?
It's awesome.
And yeah, so that's something I want to contribute to in this country, since obstacle course sports, in a way, is popular, but in a way it can be scary for people who sees this for the first time. I just recently had like a few girls like trying out monkey bars, and they're like, oh, I cannot do this, and they were holding it like, oh, I don't know if I can reach the next one. And I'm like, and I saw their workouts and I know their foundation, and I told them you can do this. But then to get their confidence first, I told them to do a different kind of technique, which is a lot easier. And then they actually went through it, and then they got the confidence boost.
Right.
Once you got the confidence boost, you can start doing other tricks. And so like, oh, let's try going forward. And then at the end, they did the most difficult ones, and they even did it. I'm like, wow,
yeah,
amazing. So so that's really important, like education and education, and a lot of things are just, it's mindset.
Yeah,
it's a mindset, it's a mental. So that's why also our slogan is outperform your imagination, because the block is usually your imagination and how far you can go everywhere in life, in work. People with the same skill sets, or whether at work or like at sports, they might not end up the same because of their mindset, right? Yeah. So it's a huge thing, and I like to focus on that part actually when I'm actually coaching as well.
Yeah.
Because physically, like all these kind of tricks, like doing squats, eventually you can do it if you, but how do you sustain it? Like to start it, like how do you kickstart it, right? And then after, you have to have the discipline to keep moving. Like that's also always the mental part.
That's my next question. So you were somewhat athletic when you were a kid, right? A lot of people.
Oh, when did you refill that?
I didn't even
notice. Okay, all right, cool.
A lot of people didn't have that when they were a kid, so they don't have that base, right? I found that through swimming, I got that discipline high up there. Yep. You're going to the pool every day, sometimes twice a day, right? And you're just always, this has just become part of my life. But a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't have that discipline base. So how do you build that into someone? And how do you get people to be like, oh, this is going to be a part of my life for the rest of, let's say the next 2-3 years? Because that's not easy.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. And I think there's not a one solution to everything. Definitely not. Everyone is different. How do you like to do it? Show by example. That's one. But then at the same time, also trying to be empathetic and understand people, like where they're from, because not everyone has the same background. Not everyone has the same skill set, genes, environment they grew up with, culture, all of it kind of, and also like work, life, family circumstances.
Super important.
So that will actually like, let's say, block a lot of the discipline and obstruct everything. So it's a little bit tough, because everyone needs to find their own way and their own level of commitment to it. For example, like some people can be like David Goggins or something, right? But other people, maybe if they are already half of David Goggins, they're actually already the David Goggins of their town,
right?
Right? So like, you just gotta find your own level of commitment. You think it's worth it, and then based on like goals. So goals for most people, goals could be like a race, signing up for a race, or like maybe being able to do a certain skill. Like maybe for people who do pole dancing, maybe doing like they're flipping and then they can hang on one arm, for example, right? And that's like something they want to go for, and they don't want to train for that, right? It can be anything. It just needs to be something you have to focus on. It can be a date or a skill set, or like a certain something that's more tangible, let's say that, right? Because you can say, oh, I'm just working out to stay healthy. But for people who were never like that, it's going to be really tough for them. So you need something to trigger them.
I agree.
And then you need to put them, and then they also need to be able to put them in a certain environment as well, that trigger the right responses to move forward. So if you have, let's say, bad triggers, you will relapse, and it's gonna be a lot harder, right? So it's a combination of everything. So putting yourself in the right environment, the people around you who can inspire you as well. The support system is super important. The way, you have to decide almost like to change your life, like pretty much lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. So for me, this is a lifestyle right now, right? It cannot just be like, oh, I'm just, well, it can be. People do whatever they want, right? But what I mean is, if you want to change, you have to change your lifestyle, like the environment, the way you think,
the people you hang out with,
the way you eat, and the way you look at things. All of this has to adapt. Like to what level you want to adapt it, it's all up to you. How much you want to commit. So if you want to be like elite racers and you want to be on top of the game, well, you got to change a lot. But if you just think like, oh, I want to just once in a while, I want to lose 10 kg and I want to try out a marathon one day, for example, and then I just want to keep on running. Yes, you get to change your lifestyle, but you might still be able to do regular like I don't know, like I actually still eat junk food, so it doesn't matter.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
That is hot news, because to me, you are not that kind of person. Like in my eyes, I always pictured you as, oh, we're gonna eat healthy every day.
Oh, I eat whatever I want. Honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it because you have so much? You're just so much at a caloric, I guess.
Deficit, you mean?
I don't know.
So I do pick my times when I eat unhealthy, but often enough also not. So what I do is like I cook regularly at home.
Me too.
And when you eat at home, when I eat at home, I eat a lot healthier.
Most people,
right?
If you cook, it's probably healthier.
Right?
I agree.
And so might be shocking to some people, but I don't cook with salt, for example. I don't. Yeah. So I actually taste the meat, vegetables a lot better nowadays because you actually and when you go out, like it's so salty.
Yeah.
Well, and I also less oil, or if it's oil, like better oils like coconut oil, like avocado or like olive oil and all these kind of things, and also the type of I also eat a lot more plant-based, but I'm not fully plant-based. Let's say about like 20 to 15% is like I would say this
animal
products. Yeah. Fish a little bit more.
Okay.
Right. I'm leaning a little bit more towards a pescatarian throughout the week, and that kind of keeps you like clean. Let's say that. And then when you go out, like with friends and all these kind, I just like yesterday I just had like spare ribs. Like Korean honey taste spare ribs. That was amazing. Yeah. So
I don't think it's that bad.
Oh, you don't think it's that bad?
I don't think it's that bad. Like it.
Well, it's a little fatty meat, right? And then there's quite some sugar. Actually,
there's quite a bit of sugar in there.
Right. So.
But you're not going to like my issue is my friends are being like, hey Arthur, we're going to Bar Central. We're gonna eat 2-for-1 pizzas.
Oh, I love pizza.
All night. And I'm like, that's a lot of food. Like that's a lot of cheese.
Yeah.
There's a lot of carbs in there. Like that's a cheat meal for me. That's a big cheat meal.
Oh, really?
And I'm doing that, I don't know, every once in a while. Like, that's coming up more than I would like.
I have pizza every week.
You have pizza every week?
Oh, I love pizza. It's one of my main things.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would even have it before a race. It's great carbs.
That's not wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, like I'm more careful if it's like a very important race. I would eat more pasta, for example, right? It's but pizza, it's great. Like when I was in Italy, I was mainly eating pizza and pasta, basically before the race.
Delicious.
It's great. Like it's one of my most favorite things. But yeah, of course, and I also just make my own pizzas at home, so you can actually kind of make it healthier. Let's say, right? But yeah, it's in the end for everyone, and it's the most like the same stereotypical saying. Moderation.
Yeah, moderation. I agree.
And as long your main habits are just clean or let's say healthier, it doesn't matter if you once in a while have it. I don't have cheat days. I just, when I want to, let's say, cheat, I just do it, right? If I feel like having a bag of chips, I'm gonna have it, right? But if I know the race is coming up, I need to stay lean. Okay, I'm gonna have less of that stuff. That's just how it works. Like, I just go by feel. But my general day to day is gonna be like pretty clean. So and then once in a while you just put in unhealthy things in between. It's fine, and you can still enjoy it.
I like that, and I think I don't like it when people are super strict with their diet. Like, to me, it almost becomes antisocial.
Yeah, it is.
Because this guy's, he'll come to the party and be like, I can't eat that. I'm like, why are you here? Like, go home, But I like that this entire interview so far, you said fun like 100 times. It seems like fun is the general theme of Temporary Humans. Like, you're trying to make something that's actually quite hard work somewhat fun.
Yeah, it's
You've said fun so many times.
Yeah, it is. Because eventually everything to me, it's fun. Because even when I'm like going, like after workout, half dying on the floor, I'm like, oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
So it, of course, like fun, it's seen and doing like a lot of research about like certain things, being obsessed about it and getting the knowledge and then eventually being able to apply it. It's also a lot of fun to me.
Yeah.
Of course, like fun, it's like subjective to everyone, right? But of course, we have a lot more people who are more fun than I am. I would also almost say like I'm more the serious guy, like, right, like the guy who's like always like going into the details of how to improve certain things or make things easier.
Someone's got to be the adult in the room. You can't have all kids in the room. You got to have an adult in the room that's like, hey guys, we got to get to work.
I just want to keep everyone like motivated, inspired, and I have all those other guys also inspire each other. That's it. Because like that person is really good at running, that person is really good at swimming, that guy is just super strong, and so like you combine the powers, you talk about it, you share experiences, and that's the great thing about it, and that's what I love, and that's what makes it fun. And then outside of the insane workouts, like afterwards you just like hang out, like you do whatever, right? Whatever is fun. And it's sometimes we just do, and then like sometimes we do some stuff for social media, just make it fun. Like it's like it's super, like you want to take it seriously, but at the same time don't take it seriously, right? It's
a fine line.
There's a fine line. Exactly.
Last question before we wrap up. Where do you see obstacle courses in China over the next 2 years? Let's say 2 to 5 years. Do you actually see this being a big thing, like getting bigger? Because to me, everything in China is kind of a fad. Right? Like, everything comes in kind of waves. Like, right now, Frisbee is like the most popular thing in the world. And like, in another year, that no one's gonna be doing it. So
I don't know.
Who knows, right? Maybe some of the hardcore people will stay, but like there will be this next fad. And so, do you see, obstacle courses as a fad, or do you see this as something that's going to be a lot more long term? It'll keep getting bigger.
I think, like you said, the biggest obstruction has been COVID. So that has or might largely also affected the way people, including as yourself, view obstacle course racing as, who knows, like being a fad. Because a lot of races been canceled, people getting less motivated to train for it. But if you actually look at the overall of obstacle course racing, it's actually just functional fitness. It's been there since the Romans were there. Like people have been doing it in the army, etc.
People just call it living in the back, back in the day. Like,
exactly.
You have to walk from here to there, and there were things that were in your way. That's living.
You climb over that wall to go to that house, or like park, whatever it is.
Bingo.
Right? Yeah. So, and then this one is a lot more gamified. And I think in general these days, a lot of things are focused on community. A lot of things are focused on experiences, and that's what you can do with obstacle course racing. You can go with a group of friends. You can do your team building within your company there and help each other out, and then overcome fears, overcome a certain mental, like maybe increase your mental fortitude. So I think this is something that's timeless, right? And I haven't heard anyone that didn't like obstacle course, like doing the obstacle course race, and they didn't like it.
Yeah.
Right. So at least like not that many. Like most people, when they say like they don't like it, it's because they don't want to get dirty, right?
Bingo.
But in general, it's kind of ingrained in us to do these kind of things, to do these kind of obstacles when we're young. Since little, like years and years ago, we were doing it. It's just now become more official. So I think there's a lot of potential for obstacle course sports, as long like COVID is gonna be more controlled, or I don't know what's gonna. Let's not go too deep into it.
Yeah.
Like as if there's no COVID, for example, then it's definitely not gonna be any problems in expanding it, having a lot of events, and having new brands coming up, new gyms coming up, because now people are kind of almost reliant on the Spartan races, because people are only training for the races, right? It's not yet a lifestyle yet, but it can only become a lifestyle once more and more gyms are doing the same. So I would love to see, actually there are actually a lot of gyms, like recently the past 3-4 years, a few have opened up as well in Beijing, and I visit them as well, support them as well. I want to see more of those coming up. It's like CrossFit. In the beginning, people were just, like maybe you did it for CrossFit games. People were like super intense, but now you have like a lot of different kind of gyms all doing CrossFit, right? And a lot of regular traditional gyms, when they're doing PT, they're incorporating CrossFit or functional fitness movements. So I think there's a huge opportunity to make this big, as long, of course, like the obstacles such as COVID is going to be, being restrained in the future.
It's tough. It's a tough sell, know. If there are no events coming up, it's hard to have that, I guess, thing to train for, that event that your goal is.
Exactly. And the goal is also eventually to move from like just training for events to have it become more of a lifestyle, right? So it doesn't necessarily need to do like going through monkey bars all the time, but just doing the functional fitness part. Grip strength is also often related with longer longevity.
Correct.
Right? So like all these kind of different things is also a lot for your health. Like moving naturally, and everything is actually great for like obstacle course training, like animal flow movements, all these kind of things. Parkour, etc., etc. It all like it's intertwined, right? So I don't think there's I wouldn't say it's a fad, right? I think there's huge potential as long the environment allows it to, just like in Europe and North America.
Okay, that's it, guys. If you have any time, go check out Temporary Humans at, what's the address?
Just look it up. Just type in temporary humans on
HML
on WeChat, and then you will find the official account or the mini app. You can also find me on Xiaohongshu, Han at Temporary Humans, and I'm also on Instagram like the Han Lin.
Nice.
And temporary.humans as well.
Okay, I'll put that in the description. You guys can go check them out. They're over somewhere in, I want to say it's Minhang, or is it in?
Yeah,
Hubei? It's in Hubei.
Yeah, so that's a tricky part, right? Yeah. So you're still at the border of Changning and Minhang, but it's officially Minhang. When people hear like Minhang, oh my god,
far.
It's far.
But it's not that far.
But it's not too bad actually. It's still it's not too far. So it's officially Minhang, but it's actually pretty much close to Changning. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Come check it out.
Go check it out. All right. That's it. Bye, guys.
Cheers.